We are going to interview Mr. Ricardo Turriol Bonilla, a high school science teacher in Austin, Texas, on his novel, Humancare, the other third option proposal on the relationship between healthcare, energy, education, and the economy. Hi, we keep hearing that once the economy turns around, things will go back to business as usual. I fear that this time is going to take more than just wishing and hoping, and that we need to focus our attention on the home front. Let's hear your version as to how to solve the riddle out of the bind that we presently find ourselves in. Our claim is that there are no off-the-shelf solutions to the healthcare issue and the economy. Our proposal is as follows. Firstly, the goal is to have a healthy economy that will generate blue, green, and white-collar jobs. Secondly, the strategy is to empower schools, colleges, and universities by giving them the charge of healthcare. And lastly, to deprivatize or denationalize, as the case might be, oil, coal and gas, power and light, nuclear, wind and solar, energy resources in general, and assign these assets to the educational system. One thing at a time. What do you mean by healthcare be assigned to the educational system? Let's establish from the start what we are not stating. We are neither in favor of the public option of the G machine running our lives, nor are we in favor of the private option of the little G machines of greedy insurance companies wrecking our family budgets. As for the co-ops, we suspect that it is a sum-zero political deal, especially at the size scale that we're talking about. You say that your other third option solution to the healthcare issue is neither public nor private. We get that part. Also, that you suspect that the cooperative option is neither here nor there. What are you trying to say by the other third option? From the healthcare debate, it is clearly a choice between the public and the private options. The cooperative venture is a sum-zero political deal that does nothing to address the underlying economic issue. A truly third option would be of another kind altogether, hence the name other third option. Understood. Now, what is the essential connection that you find between education and healthcare? Let's take it from the top. Virtue is know-how, our claim being that health, being a virtue, can be taught, and that's why education must play a lead role in the mix. Let me ask you again for the third time. What do universities have to do with healthcare, with energy resources, and with creating jobs? As I was brought up understanding things, schools and colleges are about acquiring the necessary skills to be successful in life. I am having a very hard time swallowing how you envision this new leading role of education in the economy. What you just said highlights the crux of the matter, and it is best that we address it head on. The metaphor that comes to my mind is that of Alexander the Great on the occasion of untying the famous Gordian knot previously prepared for him by the high priests. He simply used his sword instead and went on to more important business. In other words, the label thoughts that you voice lead to dead-end streets, to blind alleys born out of 19th and 20th century mindset beliefs which no longer have any hold on today's reality. Okay, new bottles for new wine. I finally get the point. What you seem to be saying is that we need to let go of old solutions if what we want is to solve new problems. Thank you. The healthcare issue is a make or break matter. If we get it right, things will pick up. If not, things will only continue to slide for the worse. Okay, and now to the second point. Where would the money to pay for it come from? The money to pay for healthcare would come from deprivatizing energy resources in general and assigning them to the educational system. And at what cost to taxpayers? I would be of the opinion that we keep the dollars figure compensation to the holding companies under 9 digits strong. And based on what constitutional right? Deprivatization of energy resources would be a just humanist measure based on the right of eminent domain. This, insofar as it would be given a public use that would spare the nation from social strife and economic collapse. How then exactly do you understand Humancare on the bigger picture view of things? Our take on the matter is that we are before a civilizational crisis, that this economical, financial, slowdown recession is just the tip of the iceberg and that it entails deep-seated cornerstone reflections. The quick fix of jump-starting the economy with stimulus money just won't cut it. You see, wealth isn't money. If it were, then borrowing or printing it would do the trick. All money needs to be backed up by reality. Not by gold bullion, not necessarily, but certainly by wealth. And what might wealth be? I'll tell you what wealth is. Wealth is to the economy what wisdom is to humanity. Could you come again on this wealth and wisdom business? Well, being the case that we live in a knowledge-driven age, I would venture to say that the origin of wealth is knowledge. That is, scientific research and technological development done in universities and put to practical use in society by everybody. So you're saying that the origin of wealth is simply cutting-edge know-how. That makes sense. Now, going back to the main topic, in what way would having schools be in charge of healthcare with the money from energy resources benefit the general population? If healthcare were in the hands of schools and universities counted on the money from energy resources, then financing research and development projects would be guaranteed, which would in turn carry over to spearhead industrial growth and commercial marketing. It would create good paying jobs, and besides, it would make college tuition free. You say that it would make college tuition free. Why or how so? What we are simply stating is that knowledge isn't a commodity to be traded like corn or pork bellies on the market floor. Knowledge is what we are all about, Homo sapiens, after all, and that we cannot afford talent to go to waste simply because parents can't afford to send their kids to college. Furthermore, that students need to be paid while in school. We'll definitely have to go back to this last statement later on. But for the moment, let me ask, would it improve health overall and lower hospital bills? Absolutely. Being the case that health is a virtue, it can be taught and learned by way of education, just like math or science, and following through, of course, with good eating and living habits. Practice makes perfect. And how would assigning healthcare to schools affect students, retirees, and teachers? It would affect all these stakeholders for the better. It would rescue schools from its present-day blackout. It would solve concerns over retirement benefits, and it would empower the community as a whole. To use a cliche, it's all about jobs. What we're simply stating is that the globalization is dead, that it passed away with the Wall Street meltdown of last September '09. What we are proclaiming is long live universalization. Let others bury their dead. Let us mind childbirth. You seem to be stating that since the Wall Street meltdown of last September '09, that what we have is a zombie system worldwide. Yes, it is a zombie system kept alive by borrowing and buying from China and printing money, passing the buck to generations to come. And what exactly is life universalization, which in time would supposedly replace zombie globalization? Universalization is about empowering universities upon and onto the shoulders of capital and labor systems, and doing it worldwide, not just nationally. We have time for only one last comment. Would you care to do a summary statement of your Humancare other third option to healthcare and the economy? Gladly. The recommendation is that we employ 21st century thinking to address third millennium concerns. For the long answer to a healthy economy, go to gallery.me.com/Socrates8. As for the short answer, it is the following: that creating blue, green, and white-collar jobs would require empowering schools, colleges, and universities by de-privatizing or denationalizing oil, coal and gas, power and light, nuclear, solar, and wind, energy resources in general, and assigning them to the care of the educational system, alongside, of course, with placing health care in its charge.